Hey, everybody, how's it going? Welcome to Community Impact. My name is Zak Clayton. I'm president and founder of Community Pay It Forward, Community Dare to Care, and the PAC channels. And our guest, as always, on the second Wednesday of every month is my dear friend, wonderful partner, and just a guy who, Les, you just don't have a whole heck of a lot of stuff going on, do you? You just always like sitting around and twiddling your thumbs and taking in the scene and sitting
Pretty
on.
seen.
Yeah. No, no, you've it seems like every at least every other month, you have new and exciting stuff coming out,
Yeah.
and you are about ready to announce something that's brand new.
Well, in addition to, not completely brand new.
Okay. Okay, well, why don't you go on ahead and let us know?
Sure. Well, first off, for those of you that have not met me before, I've been in sales and sales training for 40 years. One that everybody will know is GE Capital Long Term Care Insurance. I was a regional trainer, trained hundreds of salespeople. But 2.5 years ago, I was able to start studying neuroscience. Now, first off, I don't want the word neuroscience to scare you or excite you. All neuroscience is two things. The way we were created by God or universe, depends on your beliefs, to become very successful in something that we were the talents, abilities, and interests that was created inside of us so we could support our community. Uh, and, like, for instance, if we're an architect, needless to say, we need a car mechanic. We're not both. And so we need to support our community where our community supports us. Um, and the second part is understanding our emotions because all decisions, all actions are preceded by an emotion. And anyway, I was able to start studying it 2.5 years ago. And I was able to study it under the world leader, the world master, a gentleman by the name of J.W. Wilson. And to let you know, give you a little history. He traveled the world with Robert Kiyosaki. He filled all the venues. And by the way, this is over 40 years. He helped Mayo Clinic's doctors connect with their patients all through neuroscience. He straightened out the personnel problems at NASA. He had the only diabetic and weight loss holistic clinic in California for 10 years. In fact, he was rated one of the top 10 by Johns Hopkins. Through neuroscience, the way the brain operates, he was able to build $23 million businesses, all leaders in their industry, all through neuroscience. And when I met him, and by the way, the way I met him, he was he was corporations had asked him to come up with a course so they wouldn't have to have him as a consultant that they could give to all their people. And so he was making it was called Cracking the Sales Code. And I was brought on because I was going to bring it to corporations. Well, he passed away almost a year ago, and the course went with him. And but anyway, that's how we met because I was his sales director. And but what he taught me, the first thing he met me, he says, "Les, I'm going to teach you a new language." I says, "Okay." He says, "Emotions." He said, first off, to explain the public education system and the business education system have really kept with antiquated ways to educate. They're doing the same thing that Socrates and Aristotle did. And in those days, they were the only ones to do anything. They were the only ones given the ability to teach. And so the way they taught was sit down, shut up, listen, memorize, and give it back to me. Well, doesn't that kind of sound like what happened when we first entered school? As kids, we wanted to know bugs, we wanted to know everything. When we got to school, we were sat down at a desk, handed a book, and said, "Now we have a curriculum we got to get you through in 12 years." And so you can forget all that stuff and start studying. And so our imagination was kind of crushed. And so, fortunately, our brain was designed to take that information and use it until we got through a test. Now, unfortunately, if we didn't do well with the test, we were given bad grades and told that we weren't as good as other people. If we did well, then we had good grades, and then we were told that we were better than other people. All that causes problems in the brain. But uh, the truth is, our brain was designed to block every single thing that we weren't designed to do. And I have put a workshop together. And I'm looking for leaders and influencers to tell you what it is. The first part, there's three parts, like Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, an hour apiece on a webinar. And why is it an hour apiece? I'll explain. The second thing in school we were told to do was absolutely against the brain, was study hard, and if you don't get it, memorize it. Well, that the brain throws out. In fact, let me ask you a question. How much do you remember from your last history test?
Oh, I don't. I absolutely don't remember anything, and that's just atrocious because I love history.
And and the reason for that, they didn't make it an experience,
Hmm.
and this workshop does. But the first part of it is understanding how the brain works to receive information. That's the first hour. And by the way, this is not a presentation. This is not a study thing. What it is 7 to 8 breakouts. And I'm going to give you questions to ask the other person there. Now, for you leaders and you influencers, I'm charging $299 for all 3 hours. And you get it free, and if you bring 5 people on to a webinar, then I pay you $100 per person. So if you bring 5 people, and that's the absolute minimum, we need 6 minimum. I'm looking for 10 to 20 because this is interactive. So if you have 10 people, you get $900. If you have 20 people, you get $1,900. And what I'm looking for in the leaders, or because everybody asks me, okay, what do I call a leader or an influencer? If you can do a webinar, and you're doing them now, you can collect the money, the $299, and I come on as a co-host and I do all the teaching, and then you pay me the $199 for each one. And so if you have connections, and I'm going to give you an idea by the end of this, all the different ones you can. I'm doing this for the San Francisco Chamber next month.
Yeah.
Um, I'm by the way, if you're not on Alignable, you probably ought to be there. There's 10 million businesses in the United States and Canada. And I was telling this to a gentleman on Alignable, and I told him that this is perfect for people looking for jobs because, and I'll get into that. And so he introduced me to the San Francisco Chamber Job Forum. And so we're going to be doing this workshop there. And that's the first part, is showing people how the brain receives. And JW's book, Cracking the Learning Code, by the way, it's 30 years of his experience with business and people. and over 30 pages of reference to other neuroscientists and different things around the world. So it's real. It's really the way the brain receives information. And but anyway, I'm teaching from it. But my point was, the one of the things it says on there is the fact that when the brain receives information, there's two levels of the brain. There's the short-term memory and long-term memory. All learning, motivation, and behavior change comes when it reaches the second level. The first level is the one that you know when you do all this study and you take a test. It says, okay, the test is done, and try to remember what was in it in the next 10 days. It throws it out. You don't need it. You weren't designed for it. Now, if you were designed for it, then I'll teach you how to learn new things, because that's going to be also on the first workshop, the first hour. The second hour is the science of buying and selling. If you're selling something, you need to understand this of what your buyer wants to see. If you're buying, you want to understand how you buy things already and coincide it with what you're trying to sell somebody. This third one is, if you're trying to get a job in a company, you're selling yourself. And if you're the HR director, you're buying that person. And so I explain how the brain works on all this. The third part is the very interesting part, because as I mentioned to you, we're all created with certain talents, interests, and abilities. This is the third part. I'm going to go through the 6 areas that we are created in. First off, how we want to be on a team that's doing something to solve a problem. There's 5 areas, and I'll go through those. The second part is how we react on that team with other people. It's called our impact style. I'll go through those. The next is our temperaments, how we work with other people and how we work with information to solve problems. That is called temperaments. And last but not least is the 3 hidden things: the interests, the abilities, and the values. And so once I show all this to you and see what's inside of you that's working for you to make you successful, then at this point you'll probably be saying, okay, this is the general idea. Where do I fit? Now I have an assessment that you can take. It's $275. It was developed in the 1980s. It was proprietary to the Fortune 500 for 30 years, that and trade groups. The person that was selling it to the Fortune 500 retired. And on my website, on Zak's, there's a link to in fact, I believe he's going to play it here. There's a 5-minute intro to this assessment. And then underneath it, first off, there's a white paper that shows an outside study and validity that this assessment is real. And then below it, there's a testimonial of a lady that owns 3 companies. And she said once she was able to put people in spots they were designed for, first off, they all wanted to do their work. If you're an architect, are you going to want to do architect work? Of course. If you're an engineer, are you going to want to do engineer work? Of course. And the other thing is, they found that once they were able to understand themselves and their team members, they got along much better, because now they didn't try to be the person that was ordering the material. They didn't want to tell the person ordering the material what to do because that was their job or whatever in the company. And so it shows the 6 areas that we are. Now, the assessment was designed, everybody asks us, how is this different than DISC and Myers Briggs and so forth? That's 2 assessments. Have you ever looked at one and looked at the other one? Well, how does all this coincide? We put 6 of them together. And by the way, there's also a link to my assessment, my 26 minutes, and you can look at it and see the 6 areas that we're talking about. And once you put all those 6 areas to go, you can thank the universe or God that this is who we were developed to be, to do our work, to solve problems, be in our family, and so forth, because that's who we are. And that's the third one. And then once people see that, if they take the assessment, they'll see their personal 6. And with that, also, we're going to be working, like I said, with San Francisco Chamber. Um, if you know a veteran group and so forth, I'm going to be introduced to another chamber in Portland. Because this is going to be perfect for companies to determine who should be in what spot and where. And if they're hiring anybody, or if you know of any organizations that help people get hired, again, you introduce me, you get them online, you get $100 of the $299. There's nothing at this point to share on the assessment because that is by real living assessments, and they do all the work. Um, and But you get the $100 for bringing people through. Maybe later there might be when I get more training in it, and then I'm able to do the video myself. So any At this point, of course, I'd ask if there's any questions, and this is. Um, do you have any questions, Zach?
Yeah, and just to let everybody know that we do have 2 videos that we're going to be playing as soon as Les is done speaking. So the first one is going to be the 6 minute video about the real living assessment, and then the second one is going to be a little bit longer. It's about a 25 minute video. Les, can you tell us about that one?
Yes. What that one is my assessment. You will find out who I am. And one of the things that are neat about it is once I saw it in real living color and examine it, that's me.
Yeah.
I really see the authority of the universe or God, again, whatever you believe. This is who I was developed to be. But it also shows over here what I need to stay away from and give other people. And so it really does show me in the ways I do work and also all the subconscious stuff. And another thing to let you know if you work in relationships, I think I mentioned that the Fortune 500 employees, when they found they got along so well with their team members, they had their spouses take it. And they told us it saved hundreds of marriages over 30 years. And in fact, it's kind of funny. My wife is a psychotherapist, and I took it, she took it. And when we had it put together, she found out things about me that she had not understood in 24 years of marriage. And so she's recommending it to all of her clients. It's a foundation on where coaches can work from. Because the other thing the white paper showed was for people that decided they were going to get training outside what they were designed for, it failed. And all it
Mm,
did was cause them stress.
well, that's it. Why don't you go on ahead and tell us real quick, and then we're going to go on ahead and we'll play the videos and walk on out on this month's edition. But because you're going to be joining us again here in a couple days for the Mission for Healthy Heroes, and I'm looking forward to that. But what is one of the biggest things that you learned from your assessment?
Um, that I'm able to, it says that I'm able to completely take over a division of a company motivate people, show them how to creatively solve problems and move everybody forward. And it's kind of like what I'm doing now, except for myself and my team members that are going to be the leaders and the influencers. I'm going to show them how to work. I mean, with the getting employment, this is going to be a new industry. To be able to send the video to employers and to show them how to use it to get jobs, this is going to be a new industry. And so, anybody out there again that wants to work with me, and if you get 20 people, you're going to get $2,000. If you do that 2 or 3 times a month, that's $8,000. And so, could be very lucrative.
Yeah, and for people who are in the placement industry, like if you're somebody who is trying to place new employees, these are invaluable lessons that are learned here, right?
Yep.
This will be wonderful for you to bring in if you're in if you're in an area who's trying to put people where they are going to benefit you the most. These are these are things that will actually tell you that these people, it doesn't have to be a gamble anymore. It doesn't have to be a, well, just talking to you, you seem like you might be good at customer service, when this person is actually terrible at customer service. They can go somewhere else where they can be more productive and more, more to the point, right?
Yep. 100%. In fact, one lady I talked to this morning, and she's going to introduce me to the prison ministries. People coming out of prison, she said, this is the missing link that we've been looking for to get people out of prison jobs.
Yeah, well, there's been a really a high uptick in people who are trying to help people who are coming out of incarceration and trying to readjust and get back into the regular swing of life. And I absolutely love that, because it's we're letting too many pasts dictate our lives, when these are people who have value,
Yes.
who have abilities that can change our businesses and people's lives, and we're just letting them go to waste because we can't look past that they did something, so they've got to have a problem,
Right.
so I love this. All right, Les, I greatly appreciate it. How do people get a hold of you? And then we're going to watch the videos and go from there.
The my email is right there, les@csccourse.com. My mobile is 303-579-6881. If you text me, tell me who you are and where you found me, because I do not take solicitations. And then my calendar is also on Zach's website
Yes, it is.
if you want to set a time with me. But especially if you're a leader or a influencer or want to have the connections, then I'd love to talk to you, because there's a lot of people out here that need this.
Yeah, and if you want to get right to Les's page, the QR code above Les in the corner, that will take you directly to his Community Pay It Forward page, where you get all of these. So you can get this video again, you can see the white paper, you can see everything on that page. You can connect to him. If you would like a verbal introduction, please connect with me and I will make this happen. Les, I appreciate it. Thank you so very much. We'll keep this going. We'll see you on the 22nd, and
Sounds good.
then we'll see you again next month.
Yep.
So the first video is about is dealing a little further into taking and the assessment and learning more about you. And then after that, we're going to see Les's assessment, and you're going to see exactly what the assessment will tell you.
Sounds good.
All right. Thank you, Les.
Welcome to Real Living Assessments. My name is John Rennie, also known as JR. I've been in business myself for over 30 years with Rennie Lindsay and Associates, and I'm bringing to you one of the tools that we have uncovered as being really impactful in the way that we approach business. One of the most important things with being a business owner, being an entrepreneur, is to convey your values and your vision to your employees. They're representing you 24/7, and if they are not on board with your values because A, you don't know what they are, you don't know how to communicate those to them, then they're going to be representing you in a way that is not going to get you the results that you're looking to accomplish. So how do we go about doing this? At Real Living Assessments, we have an assessment program that dives deep into each one of your employees. We figure out what your motivated role is. We figure out what their impact style, their temperaments, and then also their interests, abilities, and values. And we put all that together to give you a real detailed, objective viewpoint of the strengths and shortcomings of each one of your members of your team. So why is that important? Well, think about it like you are a manager of the baseball team, and you have a great shortstop, but your pitcher is a little weak, and your second baseman is a little weak, and your catcher isn't quite up to par either. Well, you know you're going to have problems. You're going to give up runs, and that shortstop isn't going to be as effective as he could be if there wasn't a really good second baseman. What we do is, through our assessment program, we give you a way of analyzing each one of the members of your team to see where they would flourish the best, where you can get the most out of them. Which one is a utility player that you can put anywhere, and which one is an absolute specialist and can only function if you give them a certain environment. Something like they need quiet to be able to perform their work as opposed to working in a bullpen. They need to be able to be around people because that part fuels their fire. These are all different insights. And the reality is, one of the mistakes we make is that we frequently hire people that are just like us. And so we're missing people that are going to be more system oriented, or we're missing people that are on the creative scale. So what we do is we give you these tools, these assessments, where you can go back and evaluate where each one is, where you can actually place a specific team member to be able to accomplish your goals. Now, obviously that's going to have immediate impact on the bottom line, where people are actually going to be able to function at a greater degree and be able to really flourish in where you're at. But it also helps you because one of the roles of a leader is to make yourself replaceable. If your business cannot function without you physically being there, you're going to be limited in growth. You need to be able to delegate your responsibilities to other people. You need to be able to stick to what you do really well and delegate those things that you don't do well. And so to do that, you need to find people that are different than you and to be able to measure them, but also make sure that they have your values. Make sure that they also are on board with your vision. So, succession planning. If you're looking to eventually be able to move on from your business and be able to manage it remotely. Really, really important. Conflict mitigation. Let's say that you have a certain quality assurance manager that is always at odds with your sales manager. And the two people are absolutely valuable in their positions, but what's happening is their personalities, their designs are conflicting to the point where you're almost at the point where you have to choose between which one you're going to keep. We can help you with that. Because part of it is that those two specific type of individuals are so uniquely different that they will have a natural conflict, and that will continue if they don't understand what the other person brings to the table, why they are both dependent upon each other. So we do this through a design discovery meeting. That's where they've gone through their assessments and we've actually digging deep into that person's design. We do it through leadership training, where we actually teach you how to be able to look at these assessments and be able to make managerial decisions on moving a certain person to a new role, who is best suited for that new branch that you're opening up. Where we can work with your staff, we can work with you, we can work with individuals to help them see how they work together best. What do they need to be able to do their best job? And not everything that a person needs is financial. Sometimes what they need is peace and quiet. Sometimes what they need is the enthusiasm of working with a team. And each person is different. They're not like you. Spend as much time on our website as you want. Take out the assessment yourself, vet it, see how it works for you. If it works for you, then reach out to us. We'd love to see if we can help your organization. Thank you.
Community Pay It Forward isn't just another rewards program. It's a movement built on compassion and connection. We link everyday businesses, nonprofits, and neighbors, so simple actions like buying lunch, getting your car fixed, or hiring a service can create lasting impact. When you choose one of our giving partners, part of your purchase goes directly to families, veterans, children, or community missions in need. It doesn't cost you a dime more. It just means your purchases matter.
And we will begin the analysis. We will start with the motivator role. The motivator role is the point where you become motivated in a given project, but also includes the point where you lose motivation. If you ever observed a relay race at a track or swim meet, you know that each leg of the race requires athletes with distinct specialties. The first runner or swimmer needs to be the most explosive, quick off the starting block, and driven to get out in front as early as possible. The second and third must be coordinated at taking the handoff of the baton and carefully timing their start so as not to leave too early or too late. The final athlete or anchor is usually the one who responds best to the pressure of the final lap, knowing that the race is theirs to win or lose. Which leg or phase of a project do you prefer to work on? Do you like to be in on the start of things when people are still talking about ideas and possibilities? Or are you better suited to something that is up and running, where the expectations are clear and the circumstances are well defined? In this particular case, our client is a dominant refiner. These other numbers in the designer and developer will come into play at various times, but they're not as dominant for him. He will always come to this role. So what is a refiner? The refinement role is primarily fulfilled by maximizing the potential of an existing product or service, shaping it into a system that is consistent and productive. Quality is the name of the game. If there is additional potential to extract from a person, program, product, or organization, the refiner stays motivated. But once that maximizing objective has been achieved, the refiner loses interest and wants to hand things over to a custodian, typically a maximizer. And in this particular case, the client is 0% maximizer. So that would not be where we would want them to be spending their time. Now, the thing about the refiner is because they're always looking for efficiency and perfection, if you will, they're going to be misunderstood by people on this side of the motivated role. Creatives and designers are all about birthing new idea and change and things that are incomplete and not fully thought out. Refiners can have the tendency to be seen as overly critical, though what they're really trying to do is simply make sure that it works. There is a potential for this person's motivations to be misunderstood. When they are partnered with somebody who is a dominant developer, in this case would have to be 60, 70, 80%, where they have a good working knowledge and working relationship with them, now we have the maximum potential of the refiner. When the critical opinions are necessary, the developer can then go to the refiner and ask for their opinion. But hold that judgment, hold those observations during the creative process when the idea is in its research and development organic stage. So coupled with a high developer, the refiner in this particular case can be extremely productive and is always welcomed. I personally am very fond of refiners because they find what I have done wrong and ultimately wind up making it a little bit better. We now move down to the impact style. The impact style reflects your preferred way of trying to influence or shape other people. In all your dealings with others, it's important to feel that your presence matters and your preferences are honored or at least getting heard. The means you use in asserting your personality is called your impact style. Impact style is vitally important for understanding human relationships. When you are free to impact others in ways that are natural, you tend to feel optimistic. You feel confident that your values have a good chance of being fulfilled. On the other hand, if your impact style is blocked, you tend to feel anxious and probably even angry. You sense that your personhood is not being acknowledged and your desires will not be fulfilled. Knowing your own impact style as well as the styles of the people with whom you live and work can help you relate to others in more productive ways. For example, instead of writing somebody off as bossy just because they tend to take charge and give orders, you can learn to value their style as a director. Likewise, instead of accusing the person who seems to be a stickler for getting things perfect, you might learn to appreciate their impact style as an analyst. Understanding other people's impact styles helps us to appreciate how their unique temperaments seek to be seen, heard, and felt to have an impact. In this particular case, our client is a dominant director. Directors are one of the most widely misunderstood and oftentimes not appreciated of the 4 impact styles. At 60%, this is a very dominant style. There will be a natural conflict between a director that is highly motivated to address chaos that is undergoing and an analyst that is perceived to be impeding that progress. I would strongly recommend that this particular client study the analyst design. They will find that analysts are going to be great partners if they can learn how to work with them, not push them into decisions that are premature, and to be able to benefit from the research and analysis that these individuals tend to do. The directors are oftentimes misperceived by other people. For instance, persuaders will see a director as wanting to have their own way and that they are more interested in that than in people. Cooperators will see them as people who are pushy, somewhat inconsiderate, and demanding, seeming to want to assert themselves and have others do their bidding. And then analysts, the one that we have the greatest potential of conflict here, people who don't care how long it takes to do something, they just want it now. Those are the perceptions of directors by these other impact styles. And so we do want to make sure that we take these things into consideration and strongly understand from the director's standpoint how they potentially can be perceived. The problem here is that it's not that the director is wrong. It's just that their motivation and their concern for the issue that's creating this chaos is being misinterpreted by the others. So better communication, patience, honoring the other impact styles that you're working with will create a better working environment for the director to achieve their goals. Now, many leaders are strong directors. It's just part of that taking control of a chaotic situation. There are 2 possible tweaks for a director. One is the give up tweak, and this is where effectively their voice has been silenced. They are not appreciated for trying to correct chaos or prevent things from going wrong. In fact, they are absolutely resented for this in many cases. Over time, the director will eventually get to a point where they go, I don't care. Let it burn. They will not use their design to prevent problems from happening because nobody is paying attention to them and listening to their concerns. The other tweak of a director is the overextend, and in this particular case, it goes from trying to control a situation or themselves to trying to control the will of other people. Now, this is not to be confused with policies and procedures that the company has implemented. This becomes entrenched in the minutia of human behavior and their personal choices. We all have a free will that has to be honored and respected, cannot be coerced or threatened to be able to get your way. So you'll see some people go into this control freak type of tweak where they are wanting to control the free will choices of everybody else in the team. This is a warning sign that the director has overextended their design and is now in the process of actually causing chaos by trying to control other people's personal choices. Let's go ahead and move over to the temperaments. This particular client has a very interesting combination of temperaments here. The temperaments have to do with how your mind works. How do you focus your attention? What sort of information will you gather to make a good decision? How do you evaluate information and give it meaning? How do you approach making a decision? We all have certain traits common with others, but make no mistake, you have a unique style, a one-of-a-kind approach to dealing with the world. Like the colors on an artist's palette, there may be a limited number of behavioral patterns that combine to form what we call temperament, but there are an infinite number of possible combinations and varieties. In a sense, you have been painted with your unique temperament, and your personality affects how you interact with others and in the workplace. That's why it's vital that you understand as much as possible about how you are wired. You'll have a greater appreciation for your strengths and limitations. You'll also be better prepared to troubleshoot the problems and conflicts that inevitably come while working with other people. We're going to take a look at the detail of these particular temperaments, and anything that is in this 60-40, 50-50, you can kind of think of it as a balanced temperament. These are people that have the capacity to see both sides of the coin. They can want to have times where they will go into deep kind of quiet pondering or analysis, and there are other times where they will want to interact with other people and work in a group situation. In this particular case, the client is right there in the middle, and so you have that combination. There will be times where he wants that deep analysis, and there'll be times where he wants to work in a group. The other benefit of this particular personality combination is that that middle road gives them a tremendous amount of energy, typically mental energy, the ability to be able to stick with a problem, to really work it through, to go at moments when it's necessary into a deep analytical approach to the problem, and also to be able to go into a socialite group setting where we're working out the problem in a group effort. These things are huge benefits for an organization in that they're not going to give up easily on a problem. When we get into the backside of the advanced assessment analysis, you'll see that the problem-solving aspect of this particular individual is going to be well suited to allow them to have full reign in these areas where they're trying to work out, something that's especially challenging for the organization. Under the gathering information, we see a very dominant futurist design here. Now, in this particular case, this is going to be somebody that will take into consideration the practical approach, the research, the analysis, the statistics, but also has a gut feel that they will learn, given time and opportunity, to be able to trust. Inspiration, intuition, whatever it is that you want to call it. There'll be certain things that they will be committed to that they will not be able to give you all the evidence that might be required by a high realist at first. Over time, as their intuition, inspiration becomes more and more of a proven fact, those things will be able to be provided. When listening to an individual with this sort of design, I would certainly take in consideration what it is that they have to say. What I typically will tell realists, if they are dealing with a high futurist, is, first of all, measure the character of the individual. Do they appear to be somebody that is ethically restrained, that they tell the truth, that they are a person of integrity? Those would be good indications that the individual's motivations for championing a intuitive or inspired idea are actually good and not necessarily just self-serving. As a realist, you always want to take in consideration what they have, but make sure that it is acceptable and also a verifiable, eventually, idea to pursue. Further down here, we will get into the thinker-feeler. Now, these last two down here are two of the areas where the greatest amount of conflict can be found in relationships based upon temperament. This particular client is right there in the middle, and so would be a good counselor for people that are disagreeing with one another, maybe for very good reasons. Thinkers are all about accomplishing the objective, and feelers are all about the subjective. How does this impact the tribe, the community, the team, the environment that everybody is working in? So both of them need to be considered in making a good decision. And a person with a 60-40 or 50-50 breakdown here is a good person that will see things from both sides of the perspective. The individual is leaning slightly in the planner side, so you can expect them to be organized, structured, and to have a reasoned approach to be able to accomplish what it is that the goals are. But there is also an adaptive aspect to them where they will be able to migrate to the next particular solution if the plan doesn't go as expected. Adapters, planners are absolutely vital in any organization because, as we know, not everything works to plan. So when working with this particular client, you want to give them the global scheme. What is the big picture that we're trying to accomplish here? And if they have something that is a possibility, don't let it go unnoticed. Talk about it. Let them have an opportunity to have their say as to what their idea is that they're being inspired with. Use confidence, enthusiasm when you're talking with them. That will encourage them, that will bring more energy into that future side of things. Any kind of challenges that come up, you definitely want to address those. And then also, if you see the possibility, even if it's not a full-fledged solution yet, but if you see the possibility for a future benefit, you definitely want to encourage that sort of thinking. This will get the best out of this particular individual. Moving down to the planner aspect of this individual. Understand that planners, and again, he's leaning slightly in this area, so it's not a dominant planner, but they are decisive and live life according to a plan, which means if they come up with a plan, it's going to be very difficult for you to change that plan, or at least you need to be cautious in changing those plans, making sure that you have a very good reason and all the facts supporting the reason for changing the plan. They will want to live in a very orderly fashion, so things that are chaotic, disruptive is not going to benefit their ability to be productive. And they want to have control over their circumstances. Planners want to be able to work out their plan, and so you want to kind of keep that in consideration as you are looking at these. Now, again, look at the glossary terms so you can get a greater idea, but to give you one more look at this particular individual, as a futurist, they make determinations about the world through their futuristic sense or intuition. This internal compass guides them towards meanings, relationships, and possibilities that go beyond the information available from the senses. They tend to look at the big picture and try to grasp the essential patterns. You'll probably become something of an expert or seen as new possibilities and new ways of doing things. They value imagination and inspiration. So these are characteristics of people that are futurists. They tend to look for the possibilities, the what ifs, and how things interrelate in life, the overall scheme of things. They are aware of new challenges and possibilities, focus on how things should be improved. Dislike doing the same things repeatedly. They enjoy learning new skills. They work in bursts of energy powered by enthusiasm. They follow inspiration and hunches. They may bet on wrong facts or leap to conclusions, so they need a certain amount of oversight. Dislike taking time for precision and can overcomplicate a task or project, and they ask why things are as they are. Again, if you're looking to have a person that is a problem solver, these are great attributes. Now moving down to the planner aspect here. They are planners and they tend to live in a planned, orderly way. They want to regulate life and control. They like to make decisions, come to closure, and then carry on. They prefer to be structured and organized, wanting things to be settled. Here are characteristics of planners. They tend to be orderly, neat, organized, predictable, and like to regulate life through planning. They work best when they can plan their work and work their plan. They like to get things finished and over with. They may decide things too quickly, may dislike interrupting a project on which they are working. They tend to be satisfied once they reach a decision, want only the essential needs to begin their work, use lists as agendas for action. Here is one of the conflict areas. They can be driven crazy by adapters. So you want to be careful in partnering this person with a dominant adapter. Now, again, in this particular case, we're looking at 70% planner. So this is not a super dominant aspect of this individual. They are significantly adaptive also. And again, that is going to be very helpful in problem solving, because when we are looking at situations that need to be addressed, we don't always have the perfect answer at first. Moving on to our advanced assessments, we'll go ahead and start off with the interest. They are the what. Couple things to bring to note in regards to this individual. Persuasion is going to be one of the big tools. They are interested in being persuasive. They are gifted in being persuasive, and they value being persuasive. This is going to be very good in a sales situation, trying to motivate people to come along with a decision or to be able to address a problem. It could very well be beneficial in a sales support or even a sales situation. We see their first of their two leadership interests. They are able to develop and organize a business community through such skills as problem solving. Again, this is a strength in this particular design. And then motivational leadership. This is going to be tied closely to their persuasive skills, but their ability to be able to lead people to accomplish personal goals by strategizing. This is a great team dynamic capability and very necessary in a leadership role. That is what they are interested in. So these are the sort of jobs and abilities that you want to direct them towards, and tasks, I should say. Abilities, we're looking at somebody that is fairly dominant in the persuasion area. A third of their giftings are in that area. And then in addition to that, they are also given certain leadership capability, independence and self-management. With their creative abilities, you're looking at the ability to be able to use their imagination to develop new and innovative concepts. So this is going to be a great team member to partner with creative people, as long as the refining aspect of the individual is not misinterpreted by the creative team. They're going to be able to see solutions. They're going to be able to come up with ways to innovate around a problem. Also, going down here, they are self-motivated. They do not need a lot of micromanagement. In fact, I would encourage simply to be put in a position of trust and authority and not micromanaged or overly controlled in this area. Though oversight is going to be necessary to make sure that they've come to the right conclusion. Finally, this is the value section, and this is why. Of all the things that we've talked about, this is one of the most important aspects for this individual and for all people. As Simon Sinek said, this is the why. This is what causes great organizations and people to be so motivated to be able to develop a better phone, develop a better platform, to innovate, to come over and to come up with ideas to overcome problems. We see a number of leadership qualities here: being persuasive, being influential. It's important for them to make an impact. And then also, even in this particular area, that this is not a dominant leadership element, developing potential. This individual is going to be very good at getting the best out of your team between the motivational leadership and their problem-solving, creative, innovative approach to work and to whatever is placed before them, they're going to bring to this a tremendous amount of creative, problem solving, persuasive leadership in the team. So if I was to look to motivate this individual and to give you a rough synopsis, I would say you definitely want to give them an opportunity to be able to be in leadership, where they will be able to use their persuasive skills to be able to manage and to help people. The counseling aspect that they were interested is the coaching aspect. So they're going to be especially good at helping people come to decisions, to actually be able to join in with the team approach, to be able to become who it is that they were best suited to be. These are powerful strengths within this individual and things that they are generally interested in. If a person is not interested in motivational leadership or developing potential, I don't care how much you pay them, they're not going to do a good job. This individual will do a great job in that particular area. I would say that their ability to be able to lead is going to be enhanced by, again, their problem-solving giftings, but most importantly, their leadership and persuasion capabilities. And they will personally be motivated by the internal values of developing that potential, creative solutions, and also something that we didn't talk about, they like a challenge. You don't want to saddle this person with mundane problems. You want to give something that is really going to cause them to have to work and to invest themselves. This particular person would be a tremendous asset to any team, would really flourish under a strong developer, and would really benefit any organization that has challenges that they are faced with that are a little bit above and beyond the norm. That concludes our lateral analysis of this client. Please, again, go to the terms.
So, and now you see how in depth that really gets, and you see what Les is talking about. And I want to thank Les very much for joining us. Again, Les joins us the second Tuesday of every month. So, really shows you how in depth they get. And honestly, look, the truth is that as soon as Community Pay It Forward gets big enough to where I can be bringing people in, there is no doubt in my mind that I want people to take that assessment, because I want to make sure I'm putting people where they need to be, where they belong. Too many times I have had jobs where square peg in an oblong hole. Things almost fit, but not quite. Then there's been a couple times where it was, square peg in a, star hole. It'll fit if you hammer it in there. And that's really not a great way to keep and retain employees. So please check this out. Scan the QR code up above, go to Les's page, schedule a one-on-one with him. He is a great guy to talk to. He's a lot of fun to talk to. And please make sure you tune in when he and his wife take part next Sunday on Mission for Healthy Heroes. Speaking of Mission for Healthy Heroes, folks, we still need your help. I did have a computer that had a catastrophic crash. We are trying to either get it repaired or replaced. It is, thanks to my brother Joel, it is at the repair shop right now. Thank you, Mr. Joel White, who, by the way, stay tuned. Stay on this channel. There's going to be an alert that Joel's show is coming up right as soon as I click off here. Take a look at that show. That was a very interesting, very deep show. It went a lot deeper than we actually thought it was going to be. So please check it out. But thank you, Joel, for stepping up to help us. Joel sent some money from across the pond to make sure the mission for Healthy Heroes goes on. He knows how important this is. You know how important this is. You can help us maintain the mission for Healthy Heroes. Please make sure you're being heard. Make sure you're being seen. Scan the code. Get involved. Thank you, Les. Thank you, Joel. Thank you, everyone, for watching this show. Please make sure you love somebody out there, because somebody out here loves you. And remember, if you're not helping someone, you're hurting everyone. No one ever needs to go at this alone when we all come together. My name is Zak Clayton, president and founder, Community Pay It Forward, Community Dare to Care, and the Pact podcasting channels. Thank you so very much. We'll see you next week right here on Community Impact. Have a wonderful day. And if you need to get a hold of me, please just go to www.communitypayitforward.us and hit the connect button, or hit the contact button, and it will send a message directly to me, and I will get back to you right away. Thank you again, Les. What a great show. I appreciate it, my dear friend.